everyone, and welcome back to the Her Power Podcast, a space created to elevate, educate, and empower young women in every role and season of life. My name is Sydney Ward, Miss Fall Fest Volunteer 2026, and I am also the founder of the Rise and Reclaim Project, which is an initiative I started to help young women build confidence, self-worth, and recognize the power that they already carry within. For each episode, we're going to be sitting down with different title holders, athletes, change makers, and leaders in our community to discuss what the topics of self-worth, confidence, and empowerment looks like in each one of their unique roles. Because here, we believe that when women rise, they don't just grow, but they reclaim who they were always meant to be. So let's go ahead and get into this week's episode. So I'm very excited for this week's guest. Her name is Hannah, and she's actually one of my very good personal friends. So I'm very excited to have her on to learn a little bit more about her role, especially professionally, since I know so much about her personally. So when we sat down, I actually completely forgot to do her bio. So I'm going to go ahead and read that now. So Hannah is a Memphis native and a senior at the University of Memphis, where she is studying elementary education K-5 and special education K-12. She currently works as a program assistant at THRIVE Memphis, supporting adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities through intentional programming focused on inclusion, empowerment, and self-worth. She is a recent alum of the Alpha Delta Pi sorority, where she held several leadership positions, including vice president of event management. This is where she strengthened her passion for service and community engagement. She is an advocate for disability inclusion and is committed to creating spaces where all individuals feel seen, valued, and empowered. So please welcome today's guest, Hannah Little. So for everybody listening, I like to give a little bit of background on how I know each guest. So Hannah and I went to school together. We both went to the University of Memphis, and we were in the same sorority, and we were both in AD Pi, and she's actually my little. So we are really good friends. So apologies now if we laugh or are goofing off, because that's us. Okay, so question number one, introduce us to yourself. Just tell us a little bit about you and kind of what initially drew you to working with adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities.
Yes, I'm Hannah. I am a Memphis native. I have grown up in Memphis, and my mom is actually a special education teacher, so it's something that I have been exposed to my whole life, and I think it's like something that is normal for me and kind of like a service that my family has always done. So yeah.
So for those who might be a little bit more unfamiliar with the type of work that you do, tell us just a little bit about what your day-to-day looks like in your profession.
Okay, yeah, we're getting ready for summer right now, so summer camp is like gearing up, but right now like we will have our morning circles, so like I work for a place for like adults, and adults meaning like 16 to like 50, so it's like a large age range, but it's more targeting like after high school, like post-transition. And we do like our morning meetings, so like we go over our day, schedules are good, and so what to expect, and then we kind of get our day started. So we go on like field trips, we'll go to museums around Memphis, we'll just like do random stuff that'll like gets you out, and like it's more of like after high school. Like I think some misconceptions are like, oh, they're doing like schoolwork, more of like it's more of like social and like making sure that they like continue to have like peers around them and like they're exposed to any kind of like outside what's around your city. Yeah.
So when you think about your current and kind of your future career, future path, what is the why behind what you do and why you like to do it?
Oh yes, it's something I've been doing for a very long time, since high school. My why is definitely, there's a lot of whys. I feel like I've found like my teaching why, like through just the kids I've like grown up working with. I like specifically work with like an adult with Down syndrome. I've worked with him since he was in high school, and so he's more of like my best friend at this point, and that's definitely, he's like my biggest why. He's really opened my eyes to like a lot of like it's not that big of a deal sometimes. And so I like, you know, someone who's anxious all the time, I needed that, and that's definitely like my why is him for sure.
So kind of transitioning a little bit into confidence and self-worth in your field of work. In your line of work, you're often working with individuals who are misunderstood or underestimated by society. So how do you kind of help reinforce them with their own sense of confidence and self-worth?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's definitely something you see a lot, like it's like after high school when they kind of lose the sense of routine, and it has to be like we all go through that after college or whatever it may be. And I think it's really important to give them like independence. People like you thrive off independence, knowing that like you can do this by yourself, and like giving them that kind of like guidance, the tools to use it. And I think that's really important to like helping their self-confidence, is giving them the space to do it and not holding them back, because a lot of the time like you'll see like things that are done not age appropriately, whereas like we try to like make sure we're doing things that are age appropriate and that like will help build their social, rather than like holding them back and like giving them barriers.
Yeah, I like that, because I mean we all like to have that feeling like we're in control, even when we're not, and so
we know what to expect and stuff.
So a lot of what we talk about at Rise and Reclaim is confidence and self-worth, but even the people who are the ones empowering others can struggle with those things. So have you ever experienced moments of self-doubt, whether it be in your career or just in your personal life, and how do you continue to show up for others when you're navigating those feelings yourself?
For sure. I definitely feel that in my career, like even if that's student teaching, or if that's like being at Thrive and like being with all of my friends, it's like there's definitely good or bad days. Like, and I think that's like with every profession. And I like had one of these days recently where like I literally just like was so defeated because I couldn't like get to a certain place with a participant, and I normally am able to have that relationship with him, and I just couldn't do it that day. And so like it's really good to remember that it's not going to be 100% every day, and that's okay, because it is so unlinear, and that's what's fun. Like, that's what's fun about it. There's something different every day, and I think it's good to remember that, like, even if you don't feel like you're doing, like, your best, it's okay to not, and it's okay to not know everything. Like, that's definitely something I have to remember, but yeah.
I think I can relate to that a little bit in the sense of, like, I work in student affairs right now, which is not really where my future career path is, but I'm just doing it right now in college, and it's something that has taught me, like, every day is something different, and you're always going to learn something new, and it's ever changing.
Yeah, and you have to roll with the punches, and I think it's, like, good to remember, like, to give, you have to remember, like, give them grace, too. It's, like, they're kind of functioning as a person as you are, and I don't have good days, and neither are they. So it just happens. We're human.
How would you say the individuals that you work and serve with have changed your perspective on your own self-worth and confidence?
Oh yeah, like a lot, for sure. Like from being like outgoing to like being confident and like wanting to like pursue something else, like they definitely are like my light. Like they're like a little flashlight. And like for sure one of my good friends who has Down syndrome is like one of my biggest people, and he's such a like, he'll remind me, and he'll be like, it's not that big a deal, it's okay. And like you need to remember to like keep on going and just kind of they're like a backbone for me, like a little cushion. Like it's like for teaching's like my end career, and so when it comes to like Thrive and what I do now, it's like something I'll always hold like a special place in my heart. And so like I will always go back to them when it comes to like issues or like just needing a friend to talk to. Like it's really turned into that, for sure.
Yeah, I love that can be a space not only that fills your cup for your career and for furthering that, but it also is really good for you personally, it sounds like.
For sure.
Yeah, so what does it mean to you to create safe spaces for everyone in your role at Thrive?
Safe spaces are very important. We love space. Like, it is something that is very, like, adamant that is needed, especially after high school. And, like, there's different programs, and, like, the federal government, like, doesn't give kind of, like, an outline for that. And so it's different everywhere. And so it's really important to, like, create a safe space where parents, like, feel like they have staff that are, like, advocating for their adults, teens, whatever. And then also, like, creating space that, like, it accommodates. Like, it's really big. Accommodations are so big, and, like, every single one of my participants is different. And so, like, even if you were to, like, function off of, like, an outline, like, it's important to remember, like, even if this works for someone, this isn't going to work for another person. And that's, like, essentially just my job. Like, that's, like, how it is. And so I think that is, like, how we create a safe space, is remembering each and every single one of their, like, individual abilities, and, like, taking that and putting it up and, like, have that be the priority.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Yeah, I think that definitely just comes into play with needing to make sure that equity is at the forefront all the time in spaces. I think people forget.
Yeah.
Can you share a moment or maybe a specific moment with a participant where you saw an individual like finally step into their confidence or their capability that you always knew that they could due to the environment that you guys created?
Yeah, I have a great one for this. He's been with us for about like 2 years now, and when he first came to us, he had gone through something that was like really like, devastating just to go through. And he was kind of getting back into his routine, and his dad and his sister were so sweet, and it was very much like us learning about his abilities and ways to communicate. And at first, like, he didn't want to do anything, like, he wouldn't really participate in activities, and he like would wear like these headphones, and like he didn't want to like listen, which it's like that's a big thing when you you communicate by sign. It's like it can be loud, and that's a safety net for him. And so it was about us like showing him that we can provide a safety net. And now he does he'll do anything. Like, he's the best. I'm so proud of him. And like just like that whole situation I talked about, like having my bad day, like that was like with like one of him, and like it's okay, like not everything's linear either. And not everything is like perfect, and he has just like really blossomed and like made friends, and like we've learned so much about him, and like him allowing us to learn about him. Oh yeah, he's like great. He's completely came out of his shell. Yeah,
I love that, and that's why it is so important for those spaces to exist, for people to thrive and to have an opportunity
for sure
to fully shine. So how does your personality and who you are at your core kind of show up in the work that you do for others?
Yeah, I'm very empathetic, and when I'm empathetic, I am very I'm gonna go, like I'm an advocate, and sometimes that can get me into trouble. Like I want to really like help someone, and so I think that that does help me. Being super empathetic really does benefit me at the end of the day. And then also just like being like chill, like to be cringe is to be free, and sometimes you just have to be free. And like if you want to dance in the middle of Target, dance in the middle of Target. Like that is so just true. How it is gonna go.
So what are kind of some intentional things that you and your team do to make sure that all of the individuals you're interacting with, that they feel seen and respected and valued despite their different maybe needs or requirements?
Yeah. I think two big things that we do is like making sure that they're paired up with like people. Like a lot of our participants are so friendly, and like we'll already, without us having to ask, we'll reach out a hand and like invite them to like hang out with them, sit with them, whatever they're doing before we do our activity for the day. And so that's a big thing, is like making sure that they have like a buddy all day, and then especially if they're new. And then another thing, like just for participants in general, is like making sure that they have access to activities that benefit them and that like grow them, but like are very like are fun. They're not boring. Like one participant could like going to the library, and then another could really like learning more about like a museum or like painting or like something like that. So we have like our art room at Thrive. We have like where we have like our Legos and like our instruments and all that. And then we have like our building blocks, like, like tangible sensory things, like literally everything you can just really think of when it comes to like having fun, entertaining yourself, and like not just being on your phone all the time or an iPad all the time. Puzzles, all of that. And so like giving them that space and like making sure that they have options and choices that are very different levels.
Yeah, I like that for sure. Yeah, guys, I follow Thrive, all of them on Instagram, and sometimes I'm so jealous of your guys' field trips. Like, actually, like, sometimes I see them, I'm like, dang, Thrive went there.
We're so lucky, and the city of Memphis is so giving, too. A lot of these companies, like, will give us discounts or, like, even just let us come for free, and so, like, that's something we hold very close to our heart, because it can be hard, especially when, like, you don't have money coming in all the time, and it's, like, not funded by, like, government or, like, something like that. it's really nice when like other companies like reach out a hand and stuff.
Yeah, that is what I like about Memphis is like the community. I do really feel like the community rallies around each other.
For sure.
In my platform, Rise to Make Claim, we focus a lot on elevating others and specifically their stories, even when they may not have the platform or the voice to do it themselves. And so we're often a voice or a service for others. So similar in your work, how do you show up in a way that both amplifies the voices of the individuals you serve while still giving them, you know, feeling like they have control over their own experiences as well?
Yeah, I think, like, making sure that they have access to, like, our community. Like, I think, you know, not just keeping them indoors all day, you know, giving them, like, the ability to, like, go to, like, Target and, like, stores, like, they might not, like, normally go to with, like, their parents or families or, like, guardians. So, and, like, going to museums, just, like, integrating them into, like, the environment that we are around all the time and that they might not like go to on the weekends, because a lot of the time like parents and families are working and like we're the place that they bring their child to you know get out and like have fun. And so we really try to make sure that like that is like a big thing. And then also like, you know, letting them like make friends. Like I'm very big on like, you know, say hi to a stranger. Like me and my one of my great participants, like every time we walk through the gym, he has to say hi to two of the like therapists downstairs, and I let him because that is his thing, and he is like that's how he communicates, and like he wants to talk your thing. So
yeah. I mean, your social circles, they're really important.
No, yeah.
Even myself, like, going day to day, it's easy to not talk and interact with people a lot when you're just going around independently. But I like when I have, like, days like that where I get to interact with people more and, like, connect more with our community.
Right.
It's nice.
And we do lots of, like nonprofit, like, events and, like, benefits and stuff, like a golf tournament and, like, crawfish boil and thrive and, like, fashion shows. And so a lot of those things are, like, an opportunity for our participants to, like, you know, like, show themselves off and, like, kind of just, like, show what they do every day. And the fashion show especially. So.
Love the fashion show. So what is the lasting impact you hope to have on the individuals that you work with? And what do you hope they take away from being in your classroom or in your spaces?
Yeah, wow, there's a lot. I mean, I hope that they just feel like they have lived their life to the best of their ability. I mean, like, especially at Thrive in a classroom, I'm still trying to figure that out as a student teacher. I'm, like, in the midst of it. But, you know, I think that when it comes to, like, progress for, like, everybody looks different. And so I hope that they feel like they've met goals and that also that they've made friends. Like, especially at Thrive, I think, like, like sometimes we lose the essence of like what it means to just have like a good friend like me and you. So true. And I think that like it like having a good friend makes life better. And so it's like I have seen so many friendships blossom at Thrive, and like that's what makes me feel like I've done my job, is like just allowing them to have the space to like continue being social and continue to just like be like me or you and like just have that like space. For sure.
So as someone who is studying and furthering your expertise for special education, how do you connect your real world experience at Thrive to now your classroom and teaching settings?
Thrive has been my, like, I mean, I am so privileged to have worked there during my, like, schooling for this, because, like, going into, like, my full, like, senior year of student teaching, I know, and, like, I had this, like, sense of patience already, that, like, I kind of know that I'm going to be learning new things, and, like, that's gonna be not easy, but it's gonna come easier. And I'm just prepared to, like, you know, be able to manage, like, a classroom full of, like, kids, because I've managed a room full of adults. So I think that like that's really important. And they've also just given me the kind of like the ideas and just like the empathy, like there's so many things that they've given me. I wish I could take them with me to my classroom. Seriously, I wish I could take 2 of my participants with me and just have them like work with me in my classroom. If that would be my dream, because genuinely they're all my friends, and so it's gonna be really hard to leave them. I don't like to think about it.
It's nice though that you've had that opportunity to kind of
Yes.
apply it as you're learning it at the same time,
Yes.
instead of just all at once and then
Right.
jumping right into it, you know?
Right, and it's like I've had the privilege to work with all ages now,
Mhm.
and so like going into like even a job interview and just anything like that, like saying that I've worked from ages of like 5 all the way down to like 50 is like something I hold close to my heart.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time, you know, like when you go into teaching, it's like you have like a specific age range, or like, and that's okay, but I've like found the beauty in each like age range, and I've really loved that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, I love that. What are some misconceptions that you wish people would disregard when it comes to interacting with individuals with disabilities, and kind of how do you challenge and combat those in your line of work?
You know, this is like one for me, and like specifically with my adults is like a lot of the time, and you know, I'm not gonna hold this to anyone because not everybody has had like the privilege like to be around and like integrated around their community as like I have. So this does not come to me like it does to others, but you know, like making sure that you know you're talking to an adult. Like the participants that I work with every day, they're older than me, and so you know, I refer to them as like, you know, I'm not calling them like, hey cutie, like, you know, they don't like that, and they notice that.
Yeah.
You know, like they're not like stupid. Like you know, they're not like, if someone came up to me and was like, hey Sydney, you'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Like, it is just kind of like, you know, make sure that like you're being age appropriate, and like these are people your age, and like and you know, befriending them. I think that like this goes for anybody, and like for anybody that is making a new friend, it is so much different when you get to know someone, and it can be awkward at first, and I think that's the beauty of friendship, is like it's gonna be awkward at first, and like you have those moments to go back to when you're like close friends, and I do that a lot with my participants now. Like, you remember when you first came here and you wouldn't even talk to me? I'm like, and now like,
now
you know,
friends.
now we have like a great relationship, and so I think that like making sure that everybody knows that like, okay, you're talking to an adult, treat them like an adult.
Yeah.
There's a great campaign that is done around Down Syndrome Awareness Day, and it really talks about kind of what I just talked about, and it's like, if you want to drink a margarita, drink a margarita. And it's like, it doesn't matter if you have a disability. It doesn't matter that I have ADHD. I can do whatever I want. So I think that like there's a beauty in that, like the freedom, you know?
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I will say too, like, even as someone myself, I've interacted with a lot of your participants, and it's nice to just talk to them, and you remember that they're also your age. You're talking to them about the same things. You know, you can talk to them about the same things I like. You're on the same TikTok I am.
Yes.
So it's nice to talk to them about.
I'm literally
stuff.
going to see Chance the Rapper with one of them in September. Like, and you know, this is the beauty of working with adults, is that they like the things you like.
Yeah.
Like, I can put on Britney Spears and they are going to jam out with me because they listen to that music, and I can't do that with my second graders.
Yeah.
So it's great. It's really great. I have like 40 friends like all the time. It's great.
Would you say that working in this field has shaped or kind of changed your understanding of compassion and empathy?
Yes, and that it is not linear, and it is ever changing when it comes to compassion and empathy. It's not going to be the same every day. We learned actually at an ADPI leadership conference. We learned about how like the people around you, like you're not always going to give 100%, so the people around you are going to have to like, you know, chip in. And I think that like working at Thrive, I have like the best staff members. Like I have the privilege to work with my best friends and like, you know, be around like the people I even hang out with outside of work. And so like I've learned having that community and like having those people that kind of like understand like where you're coming from and kind of can give that grace has been super important to knowing what it looks like to like have a good community and space like in a school or like amongst teachers, and that's definitely helped me a lot for sure. Yeah.
I think too, like what we were talking about earlier about how this is a pretty emotionally demanding field. There's going to be days where you too, like you said, struggle to show up in the best way for each individual, and so it's nice to have a team that can kind of rally around that and be that community for you.
For sure.
So if you could offer one piece of advice to somebody who's maybe working in similar spaces like you, or someone who might be looking to make their environment more inclusive and empowering, what would your advice be?
talk to the people that you're trying to accommodate. I mean, talk to them like, I mean, you could ask me, but I don't have the accommodations that they need.
Yeah.
So I think that, like, my biggest thing, and, like, this is, like, it's in my Instagram bio, I use it all the time, be curious, not judgmental, ask questions, you know, ask the questions, like, sometimes a question, and you might think it's offensive, but, like, if you're just wondering and you're curious, majority of the time, like, a lot of my participants know that they have a disability. They know all about themselves. My best friend, like, he knows all about Down syndrome. He can give you the whole rundown. He knows, like, I mean, down to, like, how I know about myself, you know? It's like, it's a part of you. And so I think that, like, he is able to tell me, like, what he needs. Like, he needs space, or he needs this will work better. I have asked him questions about, do you think this is boring? Is this stupid?
Yeah.
Like, is this, like, not fun? Like, I need you to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of that, like, ask them questions, because at the end of the day, like, you can, you know, like, do research, take data and all that, but, like, sit down with them and have a conversation, you know?
Yeah,
for sure.
I think that's something even in the healthcare field that we talk about a lot too, because I think too in this day and age, it's really easy for a lot of us to sit maybe online or wherever we are in our own spaces and have opinions or feelings about things, but we never want to interact or confront the problem or maybe what we're thinking about, when actually we've kind of forgotten the power of just sitting down and talking and seeing who is this person behind this. It's not just some you know, they're real
and what
people.
do they actually need? What I might think they need might not actually what they need. And so that's definitely not my superpower. I'm not a mind reader. So
as someone who does work in research, that is something we talk about all the time, is like what I think a community needs based on what I'm viewing as a researcher might be nothing compared to what the community members who are in it actually want and need. And so it's important to go right to the source for sure. Yeah. I wanted to know, have you ever had participants who maybe have been down on themselves or about their own identity, and kind of how do you empower them to see the strength and the beauty in themselves and their identity?
Yeah, for sure. And it was definitely on a more extreme level, but I think at the end of the day, it was all about reminding them that they're a part of our community. Like, this isn't like it's hard. Yeah. Because that's a hard question. It's a really good question, because it's a hard one, because I can sit here and say, like, oh, I can help them all I want, but I also, for instance, I don't have, like, I'm not diagnosed with autism, so, like, I don't really know, like, that black and white feeling of, like, how you view the world. Or even someone with Down syndrome who's extra empathetic and, like, has a lot of big, like, emotions and feelings. I don't know what that feels like. Yeah. And so it's hard to say that it's more about being a comfort and a friend. Yeah. And knowing that, like, we have, like, me and you have our differences right now, and you feel like a sliver of your identity, because a lot of this is like their disability is not their identity, their personality is, and, you know, like, their name comes before their diagnosis when you refer to them. And so it's very important to remember that, like, there are so many things besides your diagnosis that make you important. So, like, for, like, my best friend, he is such a good leader. He is so good at getting, like, rallying up his friends to get them to do something. He is very good at, like, music. He knows every single song, every single artist. He knows that, like, every movie, everyone's birthday. Like, I can go down a whole list of things before I even get to the fact that he has an extra chromosome. So I think that, like, reminding that, like, wow, you have all of these things to offer. This has nothing, like, this is, like, this tiny in your entire story. And so that's a good question, though. And it's hard because I'm definitely not, I don't feel like I'm a professional sometimes. I definitely have been around long enough, but it's hard because every participant is different, and every level of, like, what they function on a daily basis is different. And so it's a good question.
I think what you brought up about perspective is, like, really important too, because I can relate to that a little bit in working with Rise and Reclaim and with victims and different kind of people. It's sometimes I cannot even begin to understand what you've gone through or how you're feeling in this moment, but I'm going to try to be here and show up for you in the best way that I can.
Yeah.
And whatever that needs to be for you, but I'll be that for you. And I think that's important. And it makes a really big difference in people's lives when they have that support and that person to lean on.
And affirming, like, another thing is, like, affirming their emotions when they do feel down. Like, I am the first one to be like, it's okay to cry. Like, it's okay to be upset and angry that, like, maybe this didn't happen this day, or this happened before you got here this morning. I'm very big in, like, you are a full-grown adult and it's okay to have a bad day. Nobody should ever tell you, like, hey, you need to get it together right now. Like, if someone did that to me, I would freak out, okay? I would not be getting it together. So I think that, like, it's really about, like, just remembering that, like, they're not, like, grace is so big. And, like, you know, I think that, like, learning that I really don't know everything. Neither do they, so we're in this together. But yes,
I think the most important piece of advice anybody can ever take, somebody told me this, was that you just never stop learning, no matter how far you get into a certain field or how far you get into your life. It just, you never stop learning. There's always something you can do to further yourself.
You never stop learning. That's definitely me. I'm always in school forever now.
So what has been both, you think, the most rewarding part of your job and then the most challenging part of your job?
Rewarding has definitely been, I've been rewarded with a bunch of friends. I've, like, made a lot of friends, and, you know, I've just, like, I'll be able to leave there knowing that, like, I can reach out to any of them, reach out to their parents or families, and, like, you know, they're always going to be there for me and I'll be there for them. And so I think, like, I've made a family there. That's, like, one of my biggest things. And challenges, I mean, there's challenges with everything. I mean, challenges is just, you know, making sure that I feel like I'm meeting everyone's needs. I think that, like, I have the privilege of having good staff, too. And, like, I also have, like, imposter syndrome. So, like, I don't feel like I'm doing enough half the time. And I definitely probably am. And so I think that, like, making sure that, like, remembering that you have people to lean on is, like, a big challenge for me, and that you're not doing this by yourself, and, like, any of that, especially in teaching. And that's a big challenge to get over, but I think it could be dealt with. But otherwise, I mean, a big challenge with Thrive is, like, you know, not having, like, the resources, and, like, you know, it's not, in the United States, it's not government funded in, like, the state of Tennessee to have, like, a post like, program. Like, what does it look like after high school? Like, what is the outline for that? And so a lot of parents and families, and, you know, not everybody's parent is around by that time, and so it's really, a lot of these parents have to plan years and years and years, where my mom and your mom, they didn't really plan, you know, like, you know, like, they just sent us off to college. And so it's very big. Like, I worked with a family, with a girl with a genetic disorder, and, I mean, she was in middle school, and her mom was talking about what her life was going to look like after she graduated high school, and even after her mom were to, like, you know, pass on. And so I think that, like, that's not something that, like, you typically would think about. And so that's a challenge for sure. Is, like, I hate the fact that, like, you know, a nonprofit, like, has to, you know, like, you charge a fee to, like, a parent. And, like, to me, it feels like, you know, we should be providing, like, the access to get this at, like, a lower rate, or, like, even for free.
I think what you brought up is a really good point, because that's exactly why I always tell people to advocate for the things that you care about. If you have a passion for something and you don't see enough of it in your community, be the one to say something about it, because it does make a difference. And there's so many organizations like Thrive that are maybe struggling on the resource or funding end, but thanks to people like you in your field of work, they're pushing for that thing. So if you have something out there that you want to advocate for and that you don't see enough of in your community, be that person, because somebody's got to do it.
And write letters to your politicians. I've called. I have called the state of
They will speak to you. They're very open.
They will.
Yes, that's what they're there for.
I have written letters, and I think that, like, if you feel like you're not doing something, that's something that is so proactive that you can do. It's like you're using your voice, and, like, yeah, people will say, like, it won't get read or, like, it's not going to get done. But, like, if you send enough.
And at the very least, register to vote, everybody,
Yes.
because those policies, what you're voting for,
Yeah.
makes a difference in your
For sure.
community, in your
Yeah.
state. So
Be proactive.
get out. So as you continue working in the field, kind of talking about things that you're pushing and advocating for, what is something that you hope to improve or change within the way the services and support are currently provided?
Yeah, I think that question definitely feeds into the last one. It's like, I hope that by the time that I have kids and by the time my kids have kids,
Yeah.
that services like Thrive will be accessible to any family or adult with disability, and that it is affordable or free.
Yeah.
Like, I think that is something that is so, like, big for me, is like, not a lot of people think about, like, oh, like, we give them 12 years of, like, public school or, like, of, like, a private program, and it's like, okay, well, once they become adults,
Yeah.
what are we doing? You know, they, like, nobody wants to sit in the house all day, you know, but sometimes that's the reality, because like, programs are expensive.
Yeah.
And fortunately, there's, you know, scholarships and, like, there's grants and all of these things that, like, families can apply for, but ultimately you have to meet criteria, and not every family meets that. And so I think that, like, making it, like, fully accessible is, like, big for me, because, like, at the end of the day, like, that's what we're doing. So yeah, for sure.
In kind of closing, what would you want to say to someone who may be listening to this, who may be having or has an intellectual or developmental disability, and they might be struggling right now with feeling confident or valued or seen in their community? What would you say to them?
I would say, remember your niche, find your niche, remember your strengths, what you're good at. Don't hone in on what you're struggling with, whether it's socially or like physically, whatever it may be. Find that niche. There's someone else that loves the same thing as you.
Yep.
And I've seen it happen before. I've seen two individuals who did not really socialize, or, like, who, you know, just had a hard time, like, having hard times. And you find something, like, down to it be about space, or it be about painting, or it be about a specific TV show that came out in 1989. There can be a connection.
Yes.
And it can change the way that person, you know, functions on a regular basis. It is, like, having a community is so important.
Yeah.
And so I think that reminding you, like, there's something about you that someone else has in common. And I think that's a big part for a lot of, like, my participants, is, like, that fear, and, like, where to start. And so I think that, like, find that common ground. That's what you need to do. And embrace what you're good at. You know, don't change.
One of our last guests actually brought this up, and ever since she said it, it's been kind of in the back of my mind. And she was like, you know, instead of looking at what you're missing in a field, look at what you have, and how can that benefit the field, or how can it change something because of what you uniquely bring to it.
Yes, one of my favorite, that literally, like, love that ideology, because one of my favorite books, it's called, one of my favorite books is No Such Thing as Normal, and it kind of talks about like, what we call typical, and, like, how nobody's, like, typical, like, everyone's different. And one of the biggest things in there was, like, identifying, like, everybody, me and you, people with intellectual or developmental disabilities, they have assets, and then they have deficits. And so it is about identifying, and we see this in school a lot with kids who are maybe not good at math, kids who are not really good at math, and who are really good at writing. And are very, like, they get that, they're good at science, like, they're good at something else. And that just means that, like, your brain, you know, your brain's wired differently, and that's the beauty of the brain too, is because it means you're just really good at something else if you're really bad at this. And I love to remind, like, participants, that's another thing, is reminding them that it's okay that you can't do this because you're really good at this. And there's someone else that will be able to do this. You go do your thing. And so I think we can all remember that as humans too. Something we talk about in pageantry a lot too is the idea of, like,
if you're spending so much time trying to show up as what you think someone wants, what they want that day might be who you were. But since you were showing up as somebody else, it's not you.
It's not,
And so it's just better to be authentically you, because you might miss something.
Right.
Because you're not who you were.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. Yeah.
So for my last question, my platform Rise and Reclaim is built on 3 words, which is educate, elevate, and empower. So which one resonates most with you in your season of life, and why?
Oh,
we ask every guest, so I'm always
in my new season,
in your current season of life,
season of life is educate. I just got placed with K through 2nd special education resource for my student teaching, so I'm really about to educate.
She's about to be the educator.
I'm about to educate, and so I think, but also education power, and I think that that's something that I've gotten from feminism and the feminist movement, but I take that everywhere, and I think everybody should go through that. Is education's power, knowing your stuff is powerful, knowing what you know is powerful. Knowing more than others is powerful. So
I'm always telling people my big thing is knowledge is power. Even if you think it's on a topic that's not important, or you think it's might be silly or outside of your career field, it's important to be well versed and know your community and know yourself.
I have a participant that is obsessed with space, he is he takes the coolest photos of the planets and all of that stuff. And so when the whole they did the moon, they went around the moon and the Artemis, I could ask, I had a list of questions, and it was going down, and so he is able to go teach me about that, educate me about that. And then, we also have a very good interest of ASMR. Me and him both really love ASMR. And so, I'm serious, guys. We have I've showed him the videos that I used to, fall asleep at night. And he's, showed me his, and they're, so good. I'm where do you find this? It's so good.
You know what? I like those people that have such niche, okay, this is random, but my brother, he will know any single, baseball stat I want to know, in the world. And it's just, nice to have those people that you can just be they know everything about that. I'm going to go ask them. Something else I also encourage, everybody to do, too, is to educate yourself by talking, like we said earlier, to people who know or people who have the experience. Instead of just looking it up and trying to learn, go into your own community and find those people, find that space, and learn from the people directly.
Yeah, for sure. No, yeah.
Well, Hannah, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your heart and your experiences, and thank you for the incredible work that you do. We are really grateful for people like you.
Thank you for listening to me. I actually bombard Sydney with these conversations all the time, so
everything
I just said, I think she's probably heard before.
I will say, let me give Hannah her flowers right now while we're on here. I tell her this often, but I think about her all the time in her line of work, and just that she is a saint. Seriously, I don't know how she does the work she does. I'm so grateful that the people at Thrive have you. Seriously, and the students that you're gonna have, they are gonna have the privilege of being taught by you. So to all of our listeners, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Her Power Podcast. We hope that this conversation reminded you the importance of confidence and empowerment, not only in the way that you show up for others, but in how you instill it in yourselves. So another shout out to Hannah for coming on and sharing a little bit about her perspective in her role and her journey into this profession. And it was a really important and much needed conversation that we had. So big shout out to her. To everyone listening, remember to keep rising, keep reclaiming, and remember that your power is already within. Bye.